to me here. So, um, I was in. I just wrote a book. I don't want to plug the book, but it has become quite a rage in India, and now it's been considered one of the most famous series. So, so what I want to convey to the students out there who will be watching it is that as fascinating as glamorous it sounds, investigative journalism, which I do, is not very glamorous. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It requires perseverance. It requires, you chase stories for days and it requires a lot of heartbreak and sweat and tears. So, of the 10 that you work on, just three or four, maybe even less, pan out. So you have to live with disappointments and many times when you do a story and you think it's going to shake the whole country, it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. So we should not get disappointed with that because our responsibility ends as reporting a story as coherently uh, and as accurately as we can. Whether something happens, whether the government takes action or not, is beyond our. Also, many a times, when you start your career, you'll be used by vested interests. They're going to give you stories, and so you have to take that call and see whether it is worth the story. And I am against undercover stories, big operations, only it is absolutely compulsory. I don't do it normally, but only if there's no other way to tell the truth, then you can. Uh, this year has been particularly bad for journalists in this part of the world, like where I am put from. I mean, UAE is safe, but we can see that in our neighborhood, almost 200 journalists lost their lives in Gaza, including the families. So you never know. Some of my crew will find yourself plunged into war-torn areas and reporting from the front lines. Uh, so that requires, and that's something that no journalist can prepare you for. You have to take it for yourself. But as I said, no story is worth risking your life for. Uh, I've had very close shaved. I remember a time when I was investigating illegal gold mining in Zimbabwe, I think, just before the COVID, and it was I found myself surrounded by people carrying sword and stick, and they stuck it in my neck, and so I pretended I didn't speak English. That was the best way out. So I started speaking to them in Hindi, and they were like very amused that this guy is like so, but they're not convinced. Someone tried to take my watch, someone said take his shoes, and then one man said, "Okay, let's bury him into the pit." They started digging my grave also. So it was just sheer fortune that I managed to get away. But again, as I said, there was no magic formula of what you should do and how you should react. You just have to have a calm, composed head and uh, and try to wriggle out of the questions. I don't know what for them, what really makes sense about just rambling. But I have a very eventful career. Uh, my stories, as I said, would have led to the arrest of about 250 criminals around the world. And most recent was when we dismantled what could be one of the world's biggest cybercrime syndicate. It was operating uh, that led to the arrest of my voice keeps on echoing in my hair. So I think I should stop here because I there's something the audio is not clear because if you have any questions I can ask, but otherwise I can just go on and on.
Thank you for your kind words and time, sir. Next, we have Dr. Wael Abad. He is a senior international journalist and a West Asia strategist with over 40 years of experience. He has reported on conflicts in regions such as Sri Lanka, Kashmir, Afghanistan, and the Gulf and was embedded with the US troops in Iraq in 2003, where he was captured for 10 days. He has served as South Asia Bureau Chief for Al Arabiya TV and created Dateline South Asia with ANI. Dr. Awad has led leadership roles, including twice as president of the International Association of Foreign Correspondents of Club South Asia and is a founding member of International Association of Press. He is a distinguished advisor of the Tilottama Foundation and GCTC and Secretary General of the Indo-Arab Intellectual Forum. He has received numerous awards for his work in journalism. I now kindly invite Dr. Awad for a few words of knowledge. Please give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the humble word. Assalamu alaikum. Namaskar. Namaste. Hello. Good afternoon. I've been associated with India for ages. And first of all, I wanted to thank the Academy, the universities, MIT, Peace Global University, for inviting me to speak today. I have visited Pune long years before many of you were born. And I was here in AFMC. We used to play basketball. So I used to enjoy the weather, the Marathi, the king of Marathi, the center, the empire of Marathi king, the culture, the cuisine, the weather. And on top of all this, I enjoyed the fig. And fig anjeer in India is very rare. So whenever I used to come to Pune, I used to take with me to Delhi. So I don't know if it is the season now or no. Because we consider anjeer is the fruit of the paradise. So I envy you being in Pune. I wanted to speak today on peace because I have spent, I think, whole my career in the field of wars. You may see me only in trouble area. You never seen me in a Miss Pageant or anywhere else. Only when there is a disaster, I used to be seen in the Arab world, showing my face in different stories. So I will just go across, and I think over the years I have learned that peace is the only strategic option we all should opt to, because wars does not lead us anywhere. What is our role as a journalist? Do we compromise on our basic principle if we become a peace activist or a peace promoter as a journalist? I think we need to take all this in consideration while doing our profession in a true-heartedly, as an accountable, as reliable, and as a truth-telling in all the field. That's what journalism is all about. I made some slides to show you the significance of the being a peace activist. What we should do is there is ability to shape the narratives and provide context in a crucial in fostering understanding and empathy among diverse group. So we need to know what is the challenges we face, what are the opportunities, and what is the action plan to be active in peace promotion. So how many of you consider journalism is a promoting peace? We need to look into that. Do you think that this is things we should do? And I think being a responsible also citizen, one should focus mainly on this and stay away from war. So we need to examine mainly when we discuss any cause of a trouble, conflict, dispute, communal disharmony, riots, seditions, all these issues has to be looked into the roots to avoid and prevent it, and also to have more of an activity among the society. But the biggest challenges we face is censorship, which is nowadays very famous. The freedom of speech is no more free, as we may see. Most of the media houses are run by corporate. There is no independent journalist. You have to rely more mainly on the news from the bloggers, from writers, or from people like me who left their job because they refuse to be part of any organization that can dictate me what to say. So I left it and I said, no way, I'll speak whatever I find and whatever I feel like. So I don't want it to be part of any organization. So therefore, This is our challenge, the biggest challenge. Safety threats. We face difficulties, and I think the war on Gaza, on Lebanon, on Syria, have left more than 156 journalists dead. And this is the highest in the history of journalism covering. There are more than 1,000 according to the the Committee of Protection of Journalists. But the figures which have been recently is much, much higher in the whole history of covering the news. And I think these are the issues where we are finding. Misinformation also is one of the challenges, that sometimes they give you false news to sell it out, and then the false news is spread like hotcake, like what happened in Gaza. And I'll keep referring to Gaza because this is of your memory now, where people told you 40 babies, decapitating heads, and then the Prime Minister of Israel showing the President of the United States a dead baby in his hand. It turned out to be artificial intelligence. It was a dog pictures. It wasn't not even a baby. And even the American president lied to the world, and he said, yes, I have seen 40 babies. Then the White House was quickly to react and saying, okay, there was no pictures to see. It was just saying. So the spreading of the lie created the genocides happening in Palestine and now spreading to Lebanon, because nobody wanted to know the truth. So this misinformation sometime we pay. And the remaining part of it, the two kids were walking out and walking away. But what you saw is two children dead. But what we see, the children are alive, but the message was sent out. So we must understand, when we are reporting, report the fact and don't go by sensationalizing of the stories. I think that's the importance of ethical journalism. And ethical journalism is very important in conflict reporting. And that's where we find ourselves more challenges. When I was in Iraq, embedded with the American journalists, troops as an embedded journalist, and it was the first terminology has been used as an embedded journalist, because it was never only the US troops or any army used to take journalists with them, part of the troop. But being an independent journalist going with the American, we had to compromise on our reporting. 250 don'ts and 50 do, and that was making us compromising to the extreme that we were unable to tell the fact what was happening on the ground. Nevertheless, we had no other option, because it was the only option for us to enter with the American troop. And I think I paid the price, because I shifted away from the main PR exercise, and I refused to be part of the propaganda, and I was captured, ambushed, and to be executed by the Iraqi regime, but somehow we managed to escape. And my book will be coming soon. It will be a factual book. Maybe it will be a movie in Indian Bollywood as well, so you will have a chance of seeing it. I have been promising my friends in the television and on the Bollywood that I will give them the book. They like it, and they will write the scenario. So soon, I couldn't, because of keep on hunting me, the being in captivity for 10 days, and you know that you are to be killed, to be executed, but you managed to escape. That was the great story behind. So that's how, you know where you get your news from, you know how to report, you know how to put it from where, what are the sources, which somebody was asking me. I find it difficulty in getting the reliable source of the news, but I think the documentaries, archives, community, press release, all this structure will help you in trying this. So this is where you are in India, the largest democracy in the world, and you enjoying democratic values, uplifting everything. I don't think misinformation or misuse of democracy should be a title to compromise in your reporting news from India. So I think you have the privilege to prove to the world that we are still, to some extent, independent journalists in India. So media literacy, this is important. You know, many people miss the chance. You learn from the college, they teach you lots of stories about lots of things. But when you go to the field, you find it very difficult that you may not be able to apply everything in the book. And there are certain things which is not written in the books, you will be able to learn it yourself. And I made it a habit of myself, whether I was in Jaffna with the LTTE, whether I was in Syria or Gulf War, whether I was in Yemen, I made sure that every place I go, you need to study the place, the culture, That's how you escape death. In fact, I escaped death from Afghanistan. I was detained for 3 days as well when Ahmed Shah Massoud was killed by two supposedly journalists. And I was the only Arab in the compound where he was killed. And I was detained for 3 days. But somehow I managed to convince them with the president of Afghanistan and the foreign minister, telling them he's a journalist and he's my personal friend. So I was saved, I was allowed to move around. So studying the place where you are, doing a good research, knowing the culture of the people helps you in making yourself as safe as possible and also make you as good reporter as you are. So the weapon of mass migration, this is what we call it, because we had the weapon of mass destruction where the American told us in Iraq that they were going to find the Iraqi weapon of mass destruction, and Netanyahu was telling the world will be safer if we remove Saddam Hussein, and Saddam Hussein has to be removed, and then the whole West Asia or Middle East will be prospering. So we went with them, we found weapon of mass deception. There was no weapon. Then they acknowledged, they lied to the UN. Colin Powell, the Foreign Defense Secretary of the United States, said it himself that it was the worst day in my life, the black day of my life, that I have lied at the UN, that there was no weapon of mass destruction in Iraq, and all that false stories they have given. So they are masters in articulating for you a false story and sell it out. But when you wanted to say something, they will say it's not the truth, it is conspiracy. Whatever we say is a conspiracy, but whatever they say is not conspiracy. I'll go faster with the slides. It's not changing. Yeah, this is what the petrodollar has been helping in promoting terrorism and extremism, because Saudi Arabia, Qatar were funding the terrorist organization in Syria, and we had 137,000 terrorists from 83 countries came to my country to destroy it. So that's where all the terrorists came, with the funding, with the Wahhabism doctrine, and they have run it around. Change the slide, please. This is the petrodollars. This is where all the terrorists has been funding. So you can see still America is holding 55,000 of Daesh people inside Syria, under their occupied territory of the northeastern part of Syria, where they are selling the oil and they're sharing it with the terrorist organization. And none of the terrorist groups are willing to come back to any country to take their own people. So therefore, we're still having a good hub center for terrorists under the American shelter. This is how the media report for you different people of different race and different ethnic group, but in reality, it is one flag which is running for you the whole of the fact. This is the before and after the American democracy. You can see how the country of Afghanistan, Syria was flourishing, but when American democracy comes, it's a total destruction and chaotic. This is what we are facing. So I'm giving you more of the pictures. You can see for yourself how the country were before the Americans. So maybe tomorrow United States will tell you, follow our line, or we'll bring you American democracy. So possibility is still lying there. So this is some of the picture I put for you, some example. This picture was very famous in the media when the Syrian boy was taken, and that Syrian boy was the actual picture was this, but when they took the other picture to show it to the world, to show you the more sympathy they generated with this. This is a veteran, so-called Osama bin Laden. New York Times carried these stories. That was, 10 years ago, I still hosting it. The show must be now, since he was in Afghanistan. He was a veteran. He was a freedom fighter. But when he left, he became a terrorist of Al-Qaeda. He became anti-American. And I don't know how many of you knows that Osama bin Laden was a CIA agent. Anybody knows? He was a CIA agent. Anyway, you can figure it out. You can research it. So, but he was used for them in Afghanistan, as Hillary Clinton said it very clearly, that we created Al-Qaeda with the help of the ISI, with the help of Saudi Arabia, to topple the Soviet Union. And then after he finished, he became a terrorist organization. Nevertheless, this is what they have done in Afghanistan. This is what they have done in Syria in 2001. And these are, this is Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. This is the hub center of terrorism, where all the prisoners were tortured by the American. So this is the IS. I put just general picture just to to provoke you before I finish in a minute, this is Reagan when he met with Taliban, when Taliban was a good Taliban, and he met them in California, and then he realized that they are not lining with the American line, and they brought the Soviet Union, so Taliban became a terrorist organization. This is when you don't deal with dollars, you'll have a problem. See, some people talking of de-dollarization, I think watch your foot. This is some of the terrorists in Syria. I share it with my European friends because these were fighting in Syria, but they gave them refugees, they become good citizens. So you have a good terrorist and bad terrorists also. But good tourists if they are in Europe, but bad tourists if they are in Europe, good tourists if they are in Syria. So most of them, we shared these pictures with them, so it's all available. So this is how they use Al-Qaeda or ISIS. It's just like using them for a political aim. It's a tool. Terrorism is a tool used for political objective. This is one of the picture I wanted to share with you. This is actually the yellow color picture that was Palestine before 1948. And after the division of Palestine, 55% were given to the Jew minorities and 45% were given to the Arab Palestinian. But over the years, Israel have annihilated the whole of Palestine, including now the West Bank and Gaza Strip. So they don't want any Palestinian state to be there. So when you read the media, you will know who is the victim and who is the aggressor. And there where you should focus more. This is the picture I put it for you just to show you the amount of destruction taking place. And I don't, as Guruji said, Guru Nanak said, you don't have to be a Hindu or a Jainism or a Muslim or a Christians. You need to be a human. I think we need all to be human to understand what's going on. This is what they are promoting now. They are promoting, this is an Israeli map. This is the greater Israel from Euphrates to Nile, which is including Sinai Peninsula, 1/3 of Saudi Arabia, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon. So the war goes on, perpetual provocation for permanent war in our region. So stop supporting terrorism, all of us. Only rich people will gain from the war and the poor will suffer. And thank you for hosting me in this, and I will be open for question and answer. Just wanted to provoke you with my slides so you will understand and you will go back and see the important, how to be a good journalist, how to report, how to be remembered all over the world. Thank you very much.
That was inspiring. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Ramesh Tekwani. He has a multifaceted career as both a writer and a filmmaker. As cinephile, he works on projects that span various genres and themes. His background includes experience in writing screenplays, directing films, and crafting stories that resonate across cultural and social landscapes. His ability to navigate both the written word and the visual medium helps him create immersive and impactful projects. Mr. Tekwani is also a professional, commercial, and corporate writer who started as a trainee audiovisual executive and was appointed as a scriptwriter. An agency producer functioning in a creative and technical capacity, he is a professional filmmaker who creates digital videos, curtain raisers, and documentaries. As a skilled voice actor, artist, presenter, MC, and storybook reader, there is no assignment that he can't do. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Mr. Ramesh Tekwani.
You know, Jai Hind everyone. Can you hear me? Is it clear? You know, when I was first invited for a session here, before I was given a detailed subject, so I thought, is a particular, education, media-oriented session, but I didn't know that I had to talk about peace, and that too with journalists and being the representative from the moving picture medium. Nowadays, I didn't know I was a documentary filmmaker until about a few years ago. Okay, because I thought I was a corporate filmmaker, doing assignments for clients, and my clients also included Mother Teresa and His Holiness the Sayadna, and I always treated everybody as clients because they paid me. I was one of those fortunate few who were prepaid to do their work. But the question of ethics that comes in, as Sir said, a journalist should be ethical. Now, I didn't know anything about ethics. I knew I had to make films, and I was influenced by feature films. Today, I claim that I'm everything minus Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi or Sholay. But when I first started, I would say, oh, we must make films which has got sex, violence, and comedy. And I'm talking about corporate films and documentaries because that is my early influence. But when you realize slowly and you are responsible for something. Now, a documentary filmmaker is supposed to be a shooter of reality. Yes? Here's my camera. As Sir pointed out, which picture was there? 2 guys running around or 2 guys in coffins? So the camera, when I place it here or here, it is my reality. It is the reality of the camera person. It is very difficult to be neutral. I was being heard or not being heard while I moved away from the mic. And it's very difficult for you to be neutral in anything. Okay? Life started for many of us a long time ago. And first things first, when we wrote, don't make spelling mistakes. Why? Because that is the first ethics of being honest to your writing. Now next, let me tell you a little story. There was an old lady and she was blind. There was an old lady and she was blind. Her daughter died. Her daughter used to dive for pearls. She used to dive for pearls, and whatever money they sold, the pearls, and made money, they lived and the daughter died. And people thought, how will she eat? How will she live? Of course, the old lady was very sweet and very strong and very brave. And she goes up to the jeweler and he says, look, here, the best of pearls that my daughter, the all round ones, perfect ones that I selected them and kept them in case something happened. So the jeweler tells her, he looks at the pearls and says, oh my God, he says to himself. He says, they are not just the perfect and most round of pearls, but they're the rarest of black pearls. So, and I'll give you the right price for it. The other guy's neighbors told him, काहे को? क्यों? क्या जरूरत है उसको देने की? वो तो अंधी है. Says, चूंकि वो अंधी है, मैंने उसको सही जवाब दिया. That was my first lesson in ethics. Now, whenever you make a film, whenever you're committed to make a film, you have to think of how you are communicating. Supposing I am talking of this institute, what is my ethics over here? First is to study. Anything and everything that you do, first study it. Somebody is writing, recently there's an article about the father defending his son about not killing the black deer. Only I remember there were 6 other people there at that point, but there are no stories. So how honest must a journalist be? How honest must I be as a filmmaker? Supposing I'm making an ad film. what am I allowed to say? Can I say, gale mein kharash, strepsils le lo? Or am I allowed, and I am allowed in advertising, a certain license for creative presentation? This is something where you are in students, when you're writing something, you will be filmmakers, you will be journalists, how to write and present in an honest, clear way, even though it is your way. You must have an opinion. On anything, you must have an opinion. Sir, so be human. Okay? I had to make a film. And every time you think of some film and you have question marks and you have exclamation marks and you're making a film. कोई पूछे तू हिंदू है, कोई कहे मैं मुसलमान, कोई कहे मैं सेक्युलर हूं, कहां गया ए भारतवासी, कहां गया इंसान? This is what it is. So if you're trying to make a film, if you're trying to make a documentary, if you're trying to make an ad, if you're trying to make a feature film, if you're trying to make films for children, if you're trying to make films for adults, as far as we are concerned, if you're making some kind of films for children, then an automatic adult parent censor comes in. It is not censorship. It is controlled information. I am diabetic. My wife will not give me sweets. Is she censoring? No, she's caring. So for children, if you're communicating I used to watch children's film societies, films when they used to have their festival, and I chose not to be a jury. I chose to be a selector because I wanted to see the films that different countries made. Each country except America, except the US, sorry, not America, US, they are slightly more relaxed. In India, our rule is no relax. No abusing, no sex, no violence, nothing of that sort. Just pure, simple entertainment with a certain lesson. Because you're building a foundation of communication for the kids. But for college kids, then there is a slightly relaxed communication. But if you're over 18, that does not mean I will put in something that is not ethical, that is not honest. Now, basically, where does ethics come in? How do you start with ethics? Okay, first thing you must know and you must question, and it was stated here, that there must be a questioning. कि क्या हो रहा है? What is your audience? You must understand who they are, and will, after getting your message, will they understand what you're saying? Do they already know of it or not? All right, and how will they react to it, or how do you want them to react to it? Just 1 second, please. Glasses from. Yes, please. I thought these new glasses would help me. But when you're reading, then you need to read, and you need to read full. And it becomes difficult to read. So when we are talking of media and peace, the first peace that you have to be with is yourself. Is yourself. You must start off by being with yourself. When you're reading a paper, or you're reading anything, or reading anyone's, when you're reading a WhatsApp message, you must be at peace and you must be able to distinguish what is on and what is not, what is fair and what is not. With Google, you can check. If you have people like these as your friends and acquaintances, call and ask. Because if I have to sit, if I have to make a film, any film, suppose I have to make a film on Dhirubhai Ambani. I have to make a film on Dhirubhai Ambani. How do I make a film on him? He's paying me for it. He is not, his son is paying me. But what do you try and present? And at the end, you realize that this man's contribution is that unlike most people, he came to India, set up his business. When we were young, is my time? Is that bell meant for me? Okay. Anyhow. So, coming back to it, a documentary filmmaker places a camera, he's giving you his opinion. When you're writing, you will find out the old formula, is it good for everybody? Is it good for me? Will it help? If all your questions are answered and you make a film and you present it, it must be clean, honest and ethical. I think if you have any questions subsequently, you can ask me, but these ting slightly unnerve me. Yeah. Thank you.
That was indeed motivating, sir. Thank you so much. Coming up next, we have Mr. Munish Sharma. He is an active journalist and resident editor of the Pune edition of Dainik Bhaskar. Now based in Pune, he holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in physical education and also a master's degree in journalism. He has served as the chief reporter and also the editor in Indore, Raipur, Mumbai and Bhopal. Apart from this, Mr. Sharma has also published the book Wadi-e-Jannat Hal-e-Jahannam in 2021. Besides journalism, he is an active social worker who teaches tailoring and sponsors girls' education in Kashmir. His empathy and determination is what drives him to be a responsible journalist in modern times. Please welcome Mr. Munish Sharma.
सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। आप सब जर्नलिज्म के ही बच्चे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं अभी। घंटी का महत्व समझ लीजिए। बैठने के लिए, आने के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रहती है। हो सकता है कल से आप अखबार लाइन में जाएं या टेलीविज़न लाइन में जाएं, आपके पास एक समय रहता है जो आपको बताता है कि अब आपको करना है। हम भी जैसे हमारा एक समय रहता है कि आपको इतनी देर में लिखना है और भेजना है, क्योंकि मशीन वाले इंतज़ार करते हैं, फिर छपता है, छपने के बाद आगे जाता है। तो ये जो समय का अनुशासन है, ये आप लोग अभी से बैठा के रख लीजिए। हो सकता है आपको मेरी बात पसंद ना आए, लेकिन अनुशासन में रहना सबके लिए ज़रूरी है। बात अपन पत्रकारिता के उसमें करते हैं और शांति की बात करते हैं। आप लोगों को शाम को न्यूज़ चैनल देखते होंगे और वो जो चलता है, एक दूसरे में ढिशुम ढिशुम कराते हैं, तो लोग बोलते हैं कि क्या है यार ये झगड़ा वहाँ बिठा के लड़वाते हैं। अब हमारे साथियों से जब एक दिन हम बैठे थे, बात कर रहे थे, नेशनल चैनल के ही हमारे एक साथी थे, मैंने कहा यार बहुत आता है ऐसा, तुम लड़वाते हो। अरे बोले लड़वाते कहाँ हैं, उनका गुबार उतार लेते हैं, यहाँ आके हमारे आके ठंडे हो जाते हैं, फिर चले आते हैं। अब ये अपनी अपनी सोच रहती है। एक हमारे वरिष्ठ प्रवक्ता है एक बड़ी पार्टी के, वो जब नए नए आए बोलने के लिए तो उनको भी इनवाइट किया बड़े चैनल वालों ने। पहली दो उनकी बड़ी फीकी फीकी रही, क्योंकि वो गुस्से में नहीं आए, तो उनको बाहर बोला गया कि यार थोड़ा सा तुम लोग एग्रेसिव हो, नहीं तो फिर हम आपको नहीं बुलाएंगे, हम बोल देंगे आपकी पार्टी वालों को कि हमको थोड़ा सा। तो आप जब जाते हैं या जनता जो देखती है, निष्पक्ष पत्रकारिता जो होती है उसको लेके हम आज बात करेंगे। बात करने से मतलब मेरा ये है कि जो देखते हैं, अब आप कन्याकुमारी पे खड़े होकर और समुद्र देखेंगे तो आप भारत के बाहर देखेंगे, लेकिन आप जैसे ही पलटेंगे तो बोलेंगे हाँ भारत में देख रहा हूँ मैं। तो ये देख देख का अपना अंतर है। अभी 2 वक्ता मेरे से बहुत सीनियर हैं यहाँ आके बोले हैं, और सीरिया को लेके या दूसरी भी बात जो कही है, मेरा एक मानना है कि सभी को जैसे सेना में रहता है कि सब लोगों को अपने यहाँ तो नहीं है, ट्रेनिंग होना चाहिए जर्मनी में या दूसरी जगह, वैसे ही मेरा मानना है कि जो देश की अभी स्थिति है उसमें 6-6 महीने का पत्रकारिता, और पत्रकारिता ऐसा नहीं मौके पे जाके करना चाहिए। क्योंकि जब हम पब्लिक के बीच जाते हैं, अभी जैसे चुनाव अपने महाराष्ट्र में हैं, तो कल ही की मैं एक बात बता रहा हूँ। हम लोगों ने क्या किया, दैनिक भास्कर ने कि चौपाल शुरू किया है। हम जनता के बीच जाते हैं विधानसभा में और वहाँ लोगों से बात करते हैं। एक थोड़ा सा मैं शांति की बात है तो बता दूं कि दैनिक भास्कर ऐसा पहला न्यूज़पेपर है जिसने मंडे को ये तय किया नो नेगेटिव न्यूज़, और उसको काफ़ी सराहा जा रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी साहब ने भी उसको काफ़ी सराहा है। नो नेगेटिव से मतलब ये नहीं है कि एकदम आपको वो जानकारी नहीं दें। कल फर्ग्यूसन कॉलेज के बच्चे 2 यहाँ के एक तालाब है उसमें डूब गए। मैं एक तो दुख व्यक्त करता हूँ, इस तरह की चीज़ें न हो, बच्चे भी इसका ध्यान रखें। पर अब उसको हम लोगों को छापना तो है, तो हम ये जज देते हैं कि जानकारी परख कि आपके जानकारी में होना चाहिए ये, या कोई इस तरह का घटनाक्रम हो गया जहाँ पे काफ़ी लड़ाई झगड़ा हुआ, तो हम कोशिश करते हैं कि फ्रंट पेज पे ना दे के अंदर दें। क्योंकि आप जब मंडे को निकलते हैं, एक फ्रेश मूड में रहते हैं, संडे आप एंजॉय करते हैं, मंडे आप निकलते हैं, तो आप जब सुबह पेपर पढ़ते हैं तो आपके मन में होना चाहिए कि नहीं, सकारात्मक होना चाहिए। नकारात्मक ऊर्जा आपके लिए कोई वो मतलब नुकसानदायक ही रहती है। तो कल जो हुआ तो हमारे एक सज्जन आए, बोले कि विधायक चुनने में क्या है, अधिकारी जो हैं ये भ्रष्ट होते हैं और ये खराब होते हैं। उन्होंने बहुत लेक्चर दिया। फिर उनको समझाया गया कि अधिकारी को बिठाता कौन है, सरकार बिठाती है। सरकार में कौन आता है, आपके विधायक आते। कौन चुनता है विधायकों को, आप लोग चुनते हो। तो जब तक नीचे से ही शुरुआत नहीं होगी, मैं स्कूलों में देखता हूँ, जाता हूँ, बच्चों को 9-10 के बच्चे हैं, 11th के बच्चे हैं, उनको उनके नींव खराब है तो उनको बड़े टीचर्स उन पर मेहनत करते हैं, और नीचे जो टीचर्स हैं उनको बोलते हैं कि क्या है, इनने पढ़ा ही नहीं इस चीज़ को। लेकिन जब हम नीचे जाके देखते हैं तो पता चलता है कि वो टीचर्स की तो ड्यूटी लगी है, वो बेचारा क्या पढ़ाएगा बच्चों को। चुनाव में भेज रहे हैं या दूसरी जगह। बीच में तो एक प्रदेश में तो उनने गाय भैंस गिनने के लिए टीचर्स को लगा दिया था नीचे के। तो ये सब क्या है, जर्नलिज्म का एक हिस्सा है जो हम लोग इकट्ठा करते हैं और आप लोगों तक पहुंचाते हैं। अब दूसरे बात ये है, रेप को लेके एक मैडम ने निकाला, बोले कि साहब लड़कियों को तो बड़ा बोला जाता है कि ऐसे कपड़े पहनो वैसे पहनो, कोई लड़कों को नहीं बोलता है। आप अगर उनको संस्कार दोगे शुरू से तो वो जाके इस तरह की घटना नहीं करेंगे, तो उनको भी देना चाहिए। मैं उनकी बात से सहमत हूँ कि संस्कार की बात होती है तो बच्चों को, लड़कों को भी देना चाहिए संस्कार। एक अभी गोदी मीडिया, मोदी मीडिया का बड़ा चलता है, तो ये मीडिया का वो लोग हैं जो खुद की बात रखते हैं, खुद की तरक्की चाहते हैं, देश की नहीं चाहते हैं। देश में अगर क्रांति है, अभी सीरिया की जैसे बात करी, तो सीरिया का मैं आपको एक उदाहरण दूंगा। ट्यूनीशिया, फिजी और इधर उधर जो तानाशाह थे उनको हटाने का चल रहा था। सीरिया में 8th के क्लास के बच्चे बैठे थे स्कूल में, उन्होंने उसमें से एक ने लिखा इट्स योर टर्न डॉक्टर, जो वहाँ के राष्ट्रपति है उनके लिए, क्योंकि वो भी तानाशाह है ऐसा उनका मानना था। अब वो बच्चों को जब स्कूल में लिखा देखा तो पता किया कौन है, तो वो बच्चों को उठा के लाए। बच्चों को उठा के लाए, उनको प्रताड़ित किया गया। उनके घर वाले जब गए तो उनको प्रताड़ित किया गया। धीरे धीरे मीडिया में ही बात फैली तो उससे सीरिया में क्रांति पैदा हुई। सीरिया की क्रांति एक 4-5 बच्चों ने मिलकर शुरू की थी। तो क्रांति हो या कुछ हो, आप लोगों को ये देखना है कौन काम सही कर रहा है, कौन गलत कर रहा है। हमारे यहाँ सम्राट अशोक का काफ़ी महत्व है। झंडे में अशोक चक्र है और शेर भी हमने उन्हीं से लिए हैं। सम्राट अशोक के बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं आपको बता दूं कि जब मगध पर उनके दादाजी ने, चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य ने राज किया था, उसके बाद फिर सत्ता बिंदुसार जो उनके फादर है उनके पास आई। उसके बाद में जब सम्राट अशोक का नंबर आया तो उनका नंबर फादर की दिमाग में था ही नहीं। क्यों? क्योंकि वो नाटे से थे, मोटे थे, स्किन की डिजीज़ भी थी, तो कभी बिंदुसार ने सोचा ही नहीं था कि ये भी कभी राजा बनेगा। लेकिन उन्होंने अपने आप को साबित किया और भारत को, जो हमारा उस समय का देश था, काफ़ी आगे बढ़ाया। कई हत्याएं भी हुई। अब एक ये बोलते हैं हमारे उसमें कि भैया मुग़ल साम्राज्य में जो है गद्दी के लिए भाइयों की हत्या होती रही, लेकिन उनके ऊपर भी एक आरोप रहा कि उन्होंने अपने 6 भाइयों को की हत्या की गद्दी के लिए। और ऐसे कज़न्स को देखेंगे तो 99 को मारा है। लेकिन मैं जो अंत की बात कर रहा हूँ, उन्होंने जब सब दूर जीत लिया तब उनके दिमाग में आया नहीं, शांति होना चाहिए। फिर वो शांति के मार्ग पे आए। लेकिन और उसको जब हमारे यहाँ संविधान बना तो ये निकाला गया कि हाँ, उस समय जो था वो था, लेकिन वो आखिरी में आए काय के लिए? शांति के लिए। यहाँ भगवान की प्रतिमा आप देख रहे हैं। अगर देखने का रहेगा तो वो जो तीर कमान देखेगा बोलेगा अरे यार क्या है, हथियार लेके घूम रहे हैं। नहीं, लेकिन हथियार तब उठाते हैं जब जरूरत पड़ती है। आप लोगों को भी ये समझना चाहिए, हथियार हमेशा कोई किसी के ऊपर राज करने के लिए नहीं, हमारी आत्मरक्षा के लिए। कोई अगर हमारे ऊपर आंख उठा के देखे तो करना पड़ेगा। महात्मा गांधी को हम याद करते हैं कि भाई शांति के लिए उन्होंने वो किया, लेकिन उन्हीं के समय सेना बनी ना। क्यों बनी? क्योंकि हमारा देश सुरक्षित रहे। अंग्रेज गए, पता चला कोई और आ गया। तो बहुत ज़्यादा मैं अब समय नहीं लेता हूँ, तीसरी घंटी हो गई। अनुशासन की मैं बात कर रहा था आपसे और मैं ही जो है, तो सभी को धन्यवाद और आप लोगों से मिलता रहेंगे। कुछ भी मेरे लायक रहे तो बिल्कुल आप लोग आएँ वहाँ सीखने के हिसाब से। मैं आप लोगों का आभारी रहूँगा जो इस तरह के कार्यक्रम करवाते रहते हैं। धन्यवाद जी।
That was insightful. Thank you, sir. Moving forward, we have Ms. Prachi Kulkarni. She is a consultant at Collective Newsroom and a senior journalist for BBC Marathi, where she is responsible for leading a team of reporters and freelancers across Maharashtra. She completed her Bachelor's of Science in Physics from Savitribai Pune University and her Master's degree in Mass Media from Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune. She has previously served as Bureau Chief of SAM TV and a manager of online content. Apart from this, she worked as a principal correspondent and then as a senior correspondent in Lokmat. Ms. Kulkarni has built herself a prestigious journalism career and has received praise for her influential work. Her contributions to the profession are highlighted by the 2 renowned national television awards that she has received for her perceptive reporting. Being in the industry for more than a decade, she is also a recipient of the National Television Award for her reports on various social issues. Let us now welcome her with a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here and giving me the opportunity once again to speak to the wonderful group of students here. Am I audible? Yeah. Uh, I'm going to start because I had really not been able to put my thoughts together because it's election time and I was traveling across Maharashtra covering different stories. So I was, just while sitting here, I was thinking about what am I going to say and what am I going to speak about. And the very first thing that came to my mind was recently, I was heading to Kolhapur to cover the riots that had happened there. And a friend of mine called, a fellow journalist called, and she said, "Oh, you're a journalist who covers riots." And I did not know whether to be proud of it or really feel sad about it, because that was what, the 8th or 9th riot-like situation that I was covering, the situation of violence. Let's not call it riot. It was a situation of violence that I was covering in Maharashtra, the state which is not known for such things before. So, how many of you all have heard about Koregaon Bhima? Koregaon Bhima? Bhima Koregaon riots? The show of hands if possible? Not many. So Bhima Koregaon is a place near Pune which was historically known for something else, and now it's got a completely different reference with respect to, you must have heard the term urban Nakshals, right? So that term got coined after the arrests were made in connection with alleged connection with the Naxalism. So when these riots happened, it was basically a caste conflict. And because a lot had happened earlier in the week before that, my editor had asked me to travel to the village and see what exactly is happening, whether it's peaceful, and how many people have turned up, because lakhs of people every year visit the place to commemorate that day. When just when my photographer and I were entering the village, we saw like fumes coming out from a place like a kilometer away from where we were, from where the gathering happens. And initially we thought it's a situation of fire, so we started talking to people around. And that's it. Even they were not aware of what exactly is happening. But when we started talking to the police, we figured out that something is wrong here. Obviously, police were not letting journalists enter the situation because there were vehicles being put on fire, there was stone pelting happening. Fortunately, one of the ministers from the state government back then was traveling. He was supposed to pass that area. So what we did was we hopped into the car and with him, because his car was not going to be stopped by the police. So we hopped into the car and we traveled as much as we could. At one point, we were stopped by the cops and we were told that there are huge riots happening and like thousands of people are affected, and a lot of homes have been vandalized, vehicles have been put on fire, vehicles in which people were traveling to commemorate that day and to visit that particular place. I obviously, the first thing to do is call your editor and inform them about what exactly is happening. My editor was like, "Okay, start tweeting if you can." I took a moment and I was like, "No sir, I don't think I should tweet." The first thing that came to my mind was, imagine that I am posting something on my social media which is going to be seen by people across the state, or wherever people are following me from, or wherever they're following my organization's handle from, and what kind of reaction would it result in? There is a caste conflict happening here, stone pelting is happening, vehicles have been set on fire. The kind of result that would have had, I cannot imagine that. So I chose not to post anything on my social media. Cut to earlier this year, there was a similar violence that happened in Vishalgarh Fort near Kolhapur. This I think you might have heard of. I hope you've heard of it, right? Vishalgarh violence. How many of you know about it? Okay, not many. Anyway, so there was a rally happening at a fort for removal of the encroachments there, and the crowd turned violent and there was stone pelting. They set vehicles, they vandalized the houses of people residing in a nearby village, not on the fort, but in a nearby village. And obviously one religious community was affected. I got to know about it when I was in Pune. My office asked me to travel to the place. Within a day, the cops were not allowing us to visit that particular place to report on what exactly is happening, to see the situation ourselves. But then there were a lot of social media posts which were putting forth different versions of the story. Obviously, there was no network in the village for the people to put forth they tell their story, what exactly is happening. So facts were not being presented. But social media, this particular incident was trending. There were a lot of posts being put forth from both the sides supporting the violence, and obviously there were the posts which were condemning the violence but then asking for people to retaliate as well. Now when I visited the place, I started talking to people, and the situation was so bad that not only the houses but the toys that the children from the houses were playing with, even those were set on fire, those were vandalized, those were broken down. The first reaction would be of anger, right? But then, can I let my anger be shown in the story that I'm reporting? Can I have my emotions let me choose a particular side and report my story? Obviously, I cannot. My job is to put forth the facts. So I spoke to both the sides, figured out what exactly happened, and that is what the story was. And it was very different from what was being portrayed on social media. Why I'm sharing this story is because these are the experiences journalists come across, and when I've worked in television, print and digital, and especially when you're working with television, it's the breaking news that matters. You have to put forth everything that is happening within seconds. And in such situation, it becomes really difficult to figure out what the real story is and to put forth what the real story is. I'll tell you, so after these incidents happened, my office and we discussed, and I'll take another 2 minutes, not more than that. We discussed and we decided to show the stories of what exactly happens after the riots, because riot is a reaction, instantaneous reaction. The violence is an instantaneous reaction between two groups. But what happens to people who participate, and what happens to the people who are affected? So I went back to a place called Miraz in Maharashtra, which is known as for the first place where such kind of riots between two religions had taken place, conflict between two religions had taken place. And I met a person who was kind of the main accused, the accused for the conspiracy in the riot. I started speaking to him, and it's almost been, more than 12, 15 years. And today he has no proper job, no proper house, nothing to do, and the party he was associated with is not ready to make him a part or give him any opportunity. So he was like, all these years I spent fighting my own case, and all these years I did what I was asked to do, have all gone in vain. And now I have to fight it's my own struggle, and I have to fight for myself. Nobody is supporting me. That is the kind of situation that it ends up in. The other story that we covered was of a riot that happened a year ago. I met the victim's family there, and what had happened was, initially when the violence happened, a person had died in that particular village, and his family, there were appeals being made to support them in financial ways, in whatever ways you can. And a year later, that woman who was pregnant back then and now had the child of the person, the deceased, was struggling to survive, had no money, parents, both one is diabetic, other is a heart patient. She cannot work because she has a very small baby, and she's struggling to survive. This is the kind of impact, irrespective of your religions, irrespective of your caste, that these kind of violence ends up having. And it's really important for us as a journalist to put forth all these sides of the story, all the facts in front of people who are going to read them in whatever medium you're writing for, in whatever medium you're shooting, recording it for, in whatever medium, even if it's my personal social media or even if it's my organization's official portal. I'll end with a story of one of my colleagues, a BBC's correspondent for South Asia, Yogita Limay. She's a Puneite, by the way, and she now covers South Asia for BBC. So she was recently in Afghanistan covering, obviously, the conflict and situation there. And as Sir mentioned, the good old Taliban versus the new Taliban. So she got the opportunity. She wanted to interview someone from the government to understand. She was doing a story on the situation of women there who are not given the opportunity to learn, to even undergo the school education. So she was wanting to interview the representative from the government. The representative told her that we won't be speaking to women. So what he did was, he was sitting there was a translator sitting in the front, and she was the one who was supposed to ask questions, was sitting across based on the camera angles. This person refused to look at her even once and only continued speaking to the translator, just because speaking to a woman would send out a different kind of message, and a woman asking questions would send out a different kind of message. My first reaction to this was, why did you even do it? I mean, the person is refusing to talk to you directly, and it's kind of insulting for you as a journalist. Her answer was, how many women are getting the opportunity to ask the question? If I'm getting it, why not seize it? And it's obviously our job to put forth both the sides of the story. And if I'm getting to do it, I have to do it in whatever manner I can. So I basically wanted to share my experiences with you, and I think we've had the world view to Maharashtra's my view that I have gone through. And what I want to highlight is that make sure you represent facts and make sure you get your facts right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. On behalf of the Department of Media and Communication, I would like to propose the vote of thanks. I express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Vail Abad, Mr. Ramesh Tekwani, Mr. Mazhar Farooqi, Mr. Munish Sharma, and Ms. Prachi Kulkarni for sharing your immense knowledge and experience with us. Thank you for providing your valuable time to us. Thank you so much. All the students are requested to remain seated for the next session. We'll be starting immediately. Thank you. I request all the dignitaries to remain on the stage for a group photo.
With every tweet, reel, post, and podcast, we are witnessing the emergence of new voices that redefine the mediascape. Good evening, good afternoon rather, to this seemingly interesting lot. I'm Anya Tejwani.
And I'm Amrita Reddy.
And we welcome you to session 3 of the National Conference of Media and Journalism. Now let's be real. School to university was a tough transition. But when it comes to the workplace, things take a steeper turn, don't you think? Starting a new job can feel like millennials keeping up with meme culture. It's somewhat exciting, daunting, yet perplexing.
As emerging media mavens, do you not agree that it is an absolute thrilling time to be in the space of media? But it is also true that a media workspace proves more challenging than ever. Finding yourself in a new workspace is almost like joining college and getting a new whiff of adrenaline. You're the new kid. The freedom, the fun, but the pressure. Fortunately enough, our amazing panelists are here to be your captains, steer you through shaking waters, and help you navigate your way through.
Today welcomes on one side seasoned panelists and on the other ambitious newcomers. A wonderful set of minds with an eager lot of bubbling students. Introducing to you all Youth to Youth. Here we'll explore the art of understanding company culture, colleagues and collaboration. Engaging in active listening is key. So I urge you all, be curious, ask questions, wonder, ponder and follow along.
Yes, follow along as this brings us to introducing our three stellar panelists. Prateek Deshmukh, an actor whose works speak brilliance. Ikra Sheikh, a charismatic sports presenter at Fever 94.3. And Misha Sharma, a multi-talented multimedia specialist.
I kindly call upon Professor Dheeraj Singh, Associate Dean of the Department of Media and Communication, to felicitate our dignitaries. On behalf of all the students who will soon set foot into the professional world, we feel incredible to have you here with us.
Now, introducing our lineup, our very fantastic panelists. First up, we have with us Sir Prateek Deshmukh, an actor originally from Pune who started as a child artist in Marathi theatre. He holds degrees in electrical engineering and global entrepreneurship from Purdue University and worked as a systems engineer in Washington, D.C. His passion for film brought him to Mumbai, where he completed a diploma in acting from Anupam Kher's Actor Prepares. Prateek has built a versatile career as a casting assistant, assistant director, film actor, and associate/creative producer in Hindi and Marathi films, music videos, and over 16 national TV commercials. His notable works include leading roles in Marathi films and producing Pondicherry, directed by Sachin Tendulkar. After the COVID-19 pandemic, he earned a master's degree from Santa Clara's University and worked as a data analyst for campaigns involving YouTube, Google, the People's Choice Awards, and Coachella 2023. He ventured into writing with his debut novel, 4 Days of Magic, a bestseller on Amazon, followed by Where Do I Fit?, which tackles bullying and coming-of-age themes. Currently, Prateek sir manages his family business in industrial automation, leveraging his technical expertise while pursuing creative endeavors.
We also have with us a very dear alumna. I wondered if this feels like a full circle moment for Miss Ikra Sheikh. Now, ma'am's love for digital content creation has been best channeled in the fast-paced world of sports. In the past, Ikra has been interested in discussing sports on YouTube, but her breakthrough point came when she joined Fever 94.3 as an intern in Pune's most popular radio station. Soon after, Ikra polished her audio production, live broadcasting, and audience engagement while also developing her expertise in sports commentary and analysis. Ikra is currently working as a sports presenter at Fever 94.3, where she provides her views, excitement, and knowledge of sports through radio and the internet. Her passion has now brought her to be one of the most well-known figures in the modern industry, and she's been motivating young enthusiasts to follow their dreams.
Now hold on to your hats, folks, because we have yet another alumni from MIT World Peace University. With a proven track record in mass media and communication, Ms. Meesha Sharma is a highly sought-after multimedia specialist. With over 4 years of experience, ma'am has successfully worked across various domains, including digital marketing, corporate communications, and journalism. Her expertise involve a wide range of skills such as video editing, graphic design, keyword optimization, and production. She holds a bachelor's and master's in mass communication and journalism from our very own Department of Media and Communication. Beyond her professional accomplishments, she is also passionate about singing and painting, showcasing her creativity and artistic flair.
Can we please have a huge round of applause for all our guests? Now, without further ado, the dais is open to discussion and deliberation. We'll discuss the tips and tricks to maneuver through the world of media like a pro. I call upon Sir Prateek Deshmukh to kindly take the podium.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I would like to thank Dheeraj sir and the team at MIT for inviting me here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And I had a presentation queued up. Okay, so when I was asked to, yeah, I think that'll be more comfortable. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, you can. Now I can see you guys. Hello, are you awake? Hello. Hi. So, okay. So when I was asked to come here and talk to you guys about something, then I thought, what can I talk about? Because my experiences as an actor, and you guys are media professionals, you are going to be very soon. And you are lucky enough to get formal education in that field. And most of my experience comes from learning things on the job. But I did take a step and I did my acting diploma, which really helped. But most of what I've learned in the diploma was a basis for learning a lot more things as a working professional in the industry, and I thought that I would kind of distill some things that you guys can use in your career. So I put together this presentation which says, which kind of distills the 7 golden rules to thrive as a creative professional. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so as they have already introduced me, I'm an actor, creative producer, I'm an engineer, project manager, I'm an author and a YouTuber, and it sounds like I'm boasting a lot about me. But when I was your age, I didn't think that I would be standing here and having done all of these things. But things kind of happen for a reason, and you learn along the way, and I'm sure you guys will too. So I thought that I'll take you through some anecdotes, some stories to talk about my experiences and these 7 golden rules. So the first golden rule, know what you want and what you don't want to do. That sounds really weird, but earlier when I was talking to you, I think it's you, you said that, no wait, sorry, I'm confusing myself. When I was talking with you, I remember you saying that you don't really have an idea what exactly you want to pick and choose as your career while you're loving the experience here, what you're studying. But I think most of you will be the same way, where you don't know what you want to do, which is completely okay. But I think it's really important to know what you don't want to do. So when I started in Mumbai, I did not know anybody. in the industry, in the city. And my first job was as a casting assistant at Yashraj Films. And I was working really hard, almost like, I don't know, 12, 13-hour days. But a senior casting director sat with me and he said, why do you want to become a casting director? I said, I don't know. I want to become an actor. He's like, okay, then you're wasting your time. You're going behind something you don't want to do. As a casting director, what you'll get to do is meet other actors and put their auditions into profiles, put them in PowerPoint presentations, read scripts, and that's not going to help you. What will help you is being an assistant director on a set, which is what I did next. But it kind of gave me an early valuable lesson that if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Don't waste your time. When you graduate, do something you want to do. Even if it feels like it's unreachable, at least do something which is a stepping stone towards what you want to do. Be open to serendipity. So I'll tell you guys how I became a creative producer. Like our host mentioned, I'm a Purdue alumni. And there was a Purdue alumni meeting in Bombay and I was in Pune. And I really was in two minds. Should I go all the way to Bombay to attend this session or not? And I decided, you know what, let's just go, make the effort. And because I went there, as soon as I got out of the car, I didn't know where to go. And I saw a guy wearing a Purdue t-shirt, so I followed him. And because I thought he knows where he's going. And eventually, when I walked into the venue, somebody introduced us, who knew both of us. And he said, you know, amongst everybody here, he's the only person who's become a producer. So you are the, like from the film industry. So you're the only two people who graduated from engineering and have gone into filmmaking. And the rest is history. Me and Neil became really good friends. And he is a producer and I became a creative producer at his company. I got to be a creative producer on many Marathi films and a couple of Hindi films as well. Currently, I'm working on a A-list Hindi film as a creative producer which stars Anil Kapoor. So, stepping stones, but again, if had I not gone to the event, I wouldn't have met this guy. So, make an effort. The third golden rule, work hard. So, one day when I was an assistant director, my dad calls me and he's like, Pratik, kya kartas? I was like, I'm on set. He's like, I called you in the morning, you were on set. I called you in the night, you're on set. Why are you on the set all the time? I was like, yeah, this was my schedule and we figured out that I've been working for 20 hours. But it didn't feel like 20 hours because I loved what I was doing. Even though we were running around and we were exhausted, I loved what I did. I was on a film set and that was the dream. So if you love what you do, even 20-hour work days, which are not healthy, I'm not promoting working that hard, but 20-hour work days also feel like, oh, it's just fun and games. Whereas if you hate what you do, even an 8-hour work day will feel like an eternity. The next step, the next golden rule, take a step back, look at the big picture. Every 2 or 3 years, maybe once a year, maybe on your birthday. So right around when I turned 30, the COVID-19 pandemic hit and the entire film industry shut down. Nobody had any work. I saw so many actors who were very famous who had to sell their houses in Bombay and move to Pune because nobody had any money. It was a really tough time, but it gave me time to sit back and think, is this really what I want to do? While I loved what I was doing, was it giving me enough financial stability? I don't think so. So I figured I need to do something that gives me financial stability. I didn't know what that was. But at that point, did I regret the 5 years that I spent building a career in films? Not at all. Everything that I know today is because of that struggle, which takes me to the next one. You should always play to your strengths and then pivot. So if things are not going your way, think about what are my strengths, and then you can pick your next creative field if the one that you're in is not appealing to you. So what I did after the pandemic is I went for my master's in Santa Clara University. Now I was studying data analytics, which is nothing to do with films, but nobody got jobs. As you must have heard, 2 years ago, people were just getting fired in the US. And because I had something on my resume from Bollywood and so much experience as a creative producer, I was the only data analyst who got a job. I got hired in an agency which worked actively in Hollywood, and I was creating content using data for celebrities like Michael Bublé, Brad Pitt, a lot. I don't know if I can name a lot right now because of NDAs and things like that, but I did work on Coachella 2023 a lot of YouTube accounts and also on the Oscars last year. So if you wonder why Natu Natu was at Oscars and performing, it could be because of me, because I was like, Indian diaspora loves if Indians are in the Oscars, you'll get a lot more viewers. So yeah, so play to your strengths and pivot. Another thing I did when I was in the US is I started a YouTube channel because I felt like I missed being in front of the camera. And so my friends were like, why don't you start a YouTube channel? I was like, I don't want to vlog. I don't want to wake up in the morning and show everybody what I'm doing all day. So I tried to create some creative narratives and started an account which is doing pretty well. I started writing a couple of concepts which I had as a creative producer, which I had pitched, which were not going anywhere because of the pandemic, eventually became books. The first book, 4 Days of Magic, became a bestseller in US and UK and India. And my second book, Where Do I Fit, is a story that was really close to my heart. And I didn't know if I could be an author, but the success of the first book enabled me to write the second book. So play to your strengths and pivot if in your career, if you feel stuck. The next thing, very important, don't compare yourself to anybody. Two children born in the same family, maybe twins, will be raised, and even if they have the same horoscopes, they'll have completely different lives. So you cannot compare yourself with any single person in the room or in the world. If we talk about the nepotism debate, if I think, oh, I had to struggle from scratch and stand in line for 7 hours to get to an audition, that's not fair. Janvi Kapoor gets to just be born and get into a movie. That's how the world works, okay, let's get real. I work right now in my parents' company. If an engineer from IIT thinks that, hey, I'm more talented than Pratik, he's probably right, but I get the job because I'm my father's son. Similarly, your parents, your friends, your university has given you skills and opportunities that nobody else will get. They are unique to you, so you can use them the way you like them, the way you want them. The last rule, be nice, no matter what, because hard fact, talent is not equivalent to work. Work is because of a lot of people skills in the media industry. You really need to hone up on your people skills. So I'll tell you a fun story. I will not name the actor. But when I was an assistant director, there was a really toxic actor on the set, okay? So how was he toxic? If I was the second. So what a second does is I had to take care of the actors. I had to give them the scripts, run around. So all the other actors were really friendly. I would go to their vanities. I would explain the scene to them. They were receptive. They were listening. This guy was like, you talk to my boy who's standing outside. I'm like, अच्छा, okay, I've given him the script. I can see कि अंदर script नहीं जा रही है. Director बोल रहा है, actor को बुलाओ. मैं उस boy को बोल रहा हूँ, कोई मुझे अंदर जाने नहीं दे रहा है. मुझे गाली पड़ रही है. But cut to, I think it was 4 years, not even that long of a time, when I was a creative producer and we were thinking of actors for a particular role, to be cast in a particular role, this name came up and I was like, no. We're not going to cast this guy, horrible on set. And he did not get the part. So a little bit of a negative story for the actor, but a life lesson. Be nice no matter what. You never know who will be helpful a few years later. Or maybe they won't be, but it's just nice to be nice. People like you. Yeah, so the point was not to demotivate you or anything like that. Stay motivated. I tried to tell you a little glimpse about how this game of life works, no matter what profession you guys choose. So it's a little bit of a cheat code. And if you would like to connect with me, I'm always available. These are my social media handles. Everything is at Mr. Deshmukh. I am on LinkedIn. You guys can reach out. My books are available on Amazon, and that's my email ID. So yeah, all the best for your careers, and thank you for having me. I look forward to your question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. I actually made notes over here because I wanted to take down the points, because after 2 years, I'd also be in a workspace. So I wanted to take down the tips. So I think my favorite part was you said that it didn't feel like hard work because I loved what I do. And I think that struck out to me the most. But I think me, myself, and as well as my fellow peers would like to hear more. So I request Ms. Ikra and Ms. Misha to take over the panel discussion.
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Ikra, and before I say that I do sports presenting for Fever 94.3, I take great pride while I say this that I am a fellow alumni, and this is my home ground. You are going to listen to a lot of sports terms while I speak, and it's great to be back. I think that's also my favorite thing that you said, कि वही करना चाहिए जो पसंद है. I think I did the same, and I am still surviving because of the same thing that he said. Ki you can take it long way if you like it a lot. So yeah, I have a lot of questions for you. I had a huge question bank even before you started. So I'm ready with it, Misha. But you start off with the questions.
Okay, so I remember you mentioned कि 20 घंटे का पूरा एक shoot day हो गया था, and you do not promote any toxic work culture and all of that. But in the age where we are seeing a lot of people saying कि मतलब work-life balance and all of these things are Western culture that have been brought to India, how do you stay motivated to keep on working and get new ideas? Because we are in an age where everybody is getting burnt out. तो जब आपको पता है कि आप 20 घंटे काम नहीं कर सकते हो किसी चीज़ पे, even though it is your passion, how do you stay motivated?
I'll use that mic because this is like, I don't know, it's just this internal thing I feel, maybe an insecurity that I did not get. Can you hear me? Hello? I got that? Hello, hello. Is it on? Can you hear me?
Check.
It is on. Oh, okay. Hello, hello, yes. You learn something new every day. Okay. So, how do I stay motivated? I'll be very honest with you. It could be a little bit of an insecurity. I feel like I wish I had chosen to be in a media school like you guys and learned things professionally, which I didn't. So it could be like overcompensating for that. Hello, hai na? Hello. Hello. हाँ शुरू है. Hello, hello. Yes, so I think it could be an insecurity. I have always felt that I wish I had taken something in media as my major rather than engineering. But practically on a film set, when I was assisting and those 20-hour days, you get a big reality check when you work so closely on a film. I'll tell you the reality of the situation. So we had a dance performer, as in a dancer, and she is quite famous. She acts in movies, but she's a better known dancer. And she was dancing for a good 12 hours. Her knees were bruised, okay? And the stage that she was dancing on, the set, it had LED panels as the floor, which they would keep changing the colors, whatever. It was an item number, okay? And all these dancers, like 30, 40 dancers behind her, everyone's dancing, and all the steps are on their knees. So they're scraping their knees. Now there's blood coming out of the knees. Then they are putting medicine on them. We are putting bandages on her thing, but we have to put makeup on it. And then she was dancing. Why? Because the producers invested crores of rupees and we only have this set for one day. So if it's not over in 12 hours, there's no other option. You have to shoot. So we had to shoot for 16 hours. Being an assistant director, I had to come an hour early to plan everything, an hour later to plan the next day shoot, and that's how eventually it became 20 hours. But we loved what we were doing. You can take breaks, you can go sit in the vanity, chill. Applying it to your jobs, when you are feeling a burnout, it's very important to take a break, take a step back. But when you're in the middle of things and things are very crucial, and if you really love what you do, you'll not even think that you're working hard. You'll be like, हाँ चल कल सो सकते हैं ना घर जाके. So that's why I mean, like, if you love what you do, it's okay to work hard. I'm not promoting toxic culture, but that's sometimes the reality of a situation. Yeah.
Amazing. I think the next question is something before which I think I will ask y'all to give me a poll on this. How many of y'all think that it's necessary for us to find a niche when it comes to working? How many of y'all think that it's necessary for us to find a niche? Raise your hands up. Oh, few of y'all. The rest of y'all think कि कुछ भी काम करेंगे तो चल जाएगा, but we need to work. Is that how it is? So my next question, even I think that there has to be some niche when you work. And अभी तक मेरा mindset यही था. But now that we have a fellow panelist who is a complete multitasker, I want to ask you, don't you find it difficult while doing everything at a time? I mean, you're writing, you're doing a YouTube channel. Don't you find it difficult? Is there a sense of this thing कि नहीं मुझे एक niche, मुझे एक ही चीज़ पकड़ के आगे चलना चाहिए? Is that what is important in today's world?
I think it is important when you are a working professional. As a freelancer, you have to play to your strengths. And situations change. I really want to be a full-time working actor, which I am. I'm doing good work, touch wood. But in my free time, I feel like, yaar, mujhe ye bhi karna hai. Somebody asked me, can you read my script, give me feedback? I did that. Then they said, I loved what you were saying, so can you be a creative producer? I love that opportunity, I'm going to take that. So I'm not doing everything every day. I'm not doing everything with an agenda, I want these 10 things on my resume. Like I said, when I was their age, I didn't even know a single person in Mumbai. I didn't know what I want to do, nothing. As opportunities come your way, you take them up. But one thing I don't shy away is from hard work. So, arey yaar, chal na, kal karte. That's just not inbuilt. Because I feel like there's so much I want to do. It's a problem.
Okay. You also spoke about the first thing, कि मतलब you're supposed to follow your passion. I think that was the first point, I'm not sure. Follow your passion, right? But for people who are in college right now, who don't even know what they're supposed to do at this point, they're just going somewhere. उनको पता नहीं है कि मुझे इस direction में जाना चाहिए या फिर इस direction में. Do you think that they should be open to trying new things? Because I know for myself, I tried a multitude of things to be able to find कि हाँ नहीं journalism मेरे लिए better है. But for that I had to try new things. Even though you find your passion to be one thing, you should be open to trying out other things as well. What is your take on this?
So I have a little bit of a spiritual take on this. Okay. When you don't know what you have to do, sometimes things come to you, right? Let's say you have today, you have right out of college, you've graduated, you have two jobs. One is as a sports presenter, let's say, and one is as a sports producer. You give your best shot. Now what you're actually good at, the interview, whoever's taking your interview, he'll see, oh, she's good at this, she's not good at this. And they'll give you the job and you'll excel at it. So whatever you're meant to do, you'll end up doing. So I think kids, just chill, you'll figure it out. It'll come to you.
The next question is, I think everybody of you all must be thinking about this. Let's go straight up to the monetary part of this. I think along with passion, at this point, when I was sitting in this crowd, I was thinking about what internship should I take. Unpaid hui to kya hoga, paid wali chahiye. While the rest of my friends were making money, I wanted to follow my passion but still make money, which was very difficult. So basically, is it okay to prioritize money first? Because in the media industry, I am pretty sure it's not very, मतलब इतना जल्दी नहीं होगा कि तुमको उतने पैसे मिलेंगे. But still it's important for motivation in a part. And at this age, I know that they'd be looking for paid internships over passion. So what's your take on that?
I feel, okay, so first of all, very good question. And for me, it was a little different because I graduated as an engineer in the US. I got a job. I was working in Washington, DC for a year. I was making a lot of money. Luckily, I come from a family where I did not have any loans. My parents had paid for my education. So I was earning a lot, but I was not satisfied. So when that 1 year mark hit, I was like, nahi hoga mujhse. I love my job. I love my people. My boss was willing to raise my salary the next year. But I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not what I'm meant to do. So even if you pick something that you're not meant to do, you'll figure it out. So with all of my savings in the US, I moved to Mumbai. And then I tried. By the time I gave up, I moved back to Pune. I got my first film. I had only worked in Hindi. Somehow, randomly, things just aligned and I landed my first debut film. It was a big film with Subodh Bhave and Shruti Marathe. It was a big star cast. And when that released is when I got my next films. And then it was a roller coaster. But having said that, monetarily, my parents could support me. My savings could support me. So if you want to do something which is not monetarily going to pay you off a lot, I feel like what you can do is take a calculated risk. Think about your financial situation practically. If your parents can afford it, use it. That is your advantage. That is the nepotism advantage that you have. If you don't have it, be realistic about it. Nahi hai mere paas. I will do this job, earn money and audition on the side or whatever that you want to pursue. So but you have to take some risks. Otherwise you will just be stuck in that loop, hating your job, and eventually you will hate your life and a lot of time will go and then you will regret it. So take calculated risks is what I would suggest.
That's well said. I think there's a last question from Misha, and then we'll open the panel for the questions that you all have for us.
Now, I'm sure a lot of students over here, being in the media and communication industry, also want to somehow venture into YouTubing and want to venture into being an influencer themselves. A lot of them might also have like good Instagram and TikTok or something. इस type की presence उनकी अच्छी होगी, no doubt about it. So, people trying to venture into being an influencer or a YouTuber, what would you suggest are the things that they need to do? As you were someone who ventured into YouTubing as a newcomer only. आपको कुछ नया try करना था, आपको देखना था. So, what did you learn and what would you tell them?
We'll circle back to your first question or the question that you asked them. You need a niche. That is the answer. If you are a YouTuber copying people, why will the audience watch you? If you are someone sitting in a room thinking, how do I find a niche that will appease the audience? You may find something, but that will not appease the audience. You can just be you. That is your niche. That is the cheat code. I cannot be anybody else and nobody else can be me. So for me, I just was like, I love watching vlogs, but I find it banal to create a vlog where now I'm up, look guys, now I'm doing this, now I'm brushing my teeth, now like it's an art. I'm not looking down on people who are doing it and earning a lot of money from it. So I was like, what do I do? I'm good at storytelling. So then I'm good at fitness stuff, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. So I created videos related to that and I tried. कि ये चल रहा है क्या, ये चल रहा है क्या. So I did a video with my sister where we were looking at all Puneri things in San Francisco. And that one randomly just hit the park. We got over some 40,000-50,000 views and lots of subscribers. Like overnight it was just viral. But it was so unique and I guess there was an audience for it. Then you try to create more content like that. That's how you find your niche. If you पहले से think with that pressure कि मैं क्या करूँ, कैसे होगा, तो नहीं होगा. You do something that you like, थोड़ा उधर करके you will find that niche. But you need to first start and just be very authentic. Don't try to like be fake and copy somebody who's already successful.
Yeah, I think we've got spot on answers to all our questions. Now the panel is open for your questions. Is there anybody with questions for Prateek sir?
Mention that the floor is now open for questions. However, time is going to permit us to ask 2 questions. So everybody in the audience has somehow vicariously lived through the guests' experiences. This is your chance to ask questions. Ask away, be curious.
Oh, that's less curiosity. Yeah?
Check. Hi. I really loved everything that you talked about, but I also had a question. Like, in this industry that you were working in, did you face a lot of rejection? And for a lot of kids and a lot of people who are going to go out and like experience a lot, how do you think we should face rejection or failure? How do we get back up from that?
I can only talk as an actor. It's really tough. It is extremely tough, and you get rejected left, right, and center, and you get rejected. As an entrepreneur, if you're trying to sell, okay, I'm selling this bottle, okay, and she's my client, and she says that, Pratik, I don't like this green color. I want it to be blue. I can do that. Maybe we may not agree on a price, blah, 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 but we can change the product is the point of this example. When you are rejected as an actor, you're rejected for your vibe acha nahi hai. Acha, he is Maharashtrian, what? No, then no. Oh, he doesn't look Marathi. No, no, no. So, you know, like it's just so banal. You cannot please everybody. You cannot stop trying because otherwise then you're not going anywhere. You get rejected left, right, and center. You were standing for an audition for 3 hours in the sun, and by the time you reach the gate, they look at you and be like, not fit. And earlier I used to be like, take it really personally. And then I figured that if I am the casting director and in my scheme of things, this actor doesn't fit the role that's written on paper, I cannot cast this actor. So it's nothing personal. Nobody gets enjoyment out of rejecting you. You have to kind of, again, take a step back and think of the bigger scheme of things. If they want a more famous actor, it could be because they want more views. They are spending more money. They're putting lakhs and crores of rupees on your face or on your talent. So it's okay. When you develop that kind of big scheme of things point of view, then you are like, acha, okay, yahan pe nahi ho raha, I'll find somewhere. And eventually you will. So, but if you take every rejection to heart, it will be very tough. And I learned this the hard way, but you kind of learn to develop a very thick skin, which helped me later. So when I was doing my master's and I was applying for internships, and as many of you are, I'm sure, you get rejected after a couple of interviews and you're like, oh my God, dunya khatam ho gayi, nahi ho gayi. Your whole life is in front of you and something better will come and you will have learned something from your previous experience. So rejection is good. That's how you learn.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, one final question before we end this session up. Is there anybody who wants to ask anything? Come on, yaar, it is a youth to youth connect. There has to be some connect happening. No questions? Are we all clear? Kya karna? That's amazing. Okay, I'll wrap it up. I think I have one question. So, अभी हर चीज़ करने की एज ग्रुप काफ़ी कम हो चुकी है. Now you see YouTubers who are 7-year-old YouTubers happening. There's a sports presenter who's literally 10 and he's doing very well. So there's a pressure of making it big right in the starting of your career. Now what these guys are going to do, उन्हें लगेगा internship में ही हमें इतना तोड़फोड़ काम कर देना है that we need to make it in the next 10 days. What do you recommend here? Do you need to take it slow, step by step, or do you have to keep it up with the trend की थोड़ा पेस ही रहो, आज की डिमांड ये है? What is it about?
अगर आप naturally रह सकते हो पेस के साथ, if that's something that comes naturally to you, तो you will anyway do it. But if it's not coming to you naturally, if you take the pressure, oh my God, मुझे करना है क्योंकि इसने किया, ये कर रहा है, वो कर रहा है, again, don't compare. So I don't think that makes any sense to take that pressure. I used to have that pressure. XYZ actor got his debut when he was 28. I am 31. I haven't been launched. So it's bizarre to get that kind of, because then I realized that even Neena Gupta is doing leading roles. Jim Sharp didn't get his first big role until his like late 30s. An actor now, the narrative has changed so much that you get cast at whatever age and you can do an amazing part. There are so many platforms, and that's the same for all media industries. I'm sure even on your radio show, you could get an older guy, a younger guy, a gay guy, anybody, you know, of the plethora of the world. If they're good, they have something to say, you'll put them on the radio. Similarly, when the right thing has to find you at whatever age, it doesn't matter. Don't take that pressure, because if you take that pressure, you'll drown. It's insane. So yeah, chill, maro ho jayega sab kuch.
As we arrive to the conclusion of this session, I am sure that all those who are present here feel self-assured listening to your stepping stones that in retrospect have turned out to be a success story. This has been a refreshing and sharp-witted discussion. I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Pratik Deshmukh, Ikra Sheikh and Misha Sharma for sharing with us their enlightening contributions. I also thank our Dean, Associate Dean, Professor Dheeraj Singh for his steadfast support.
Speaking of support, this session would not be a success without the guidance of our dearest faculty. Last but not the least, to our peers, your enthusiasm and participation is greatly appreciated. It has enhanced our discourse. Speaking of our discourse as well, today we spoke to an actor who's in writing, who's in film, who's also a data analyst. We spoke to a sports presenter, and also we spoke to a multimedia specialist. And we learned about niches, we learned about staying motivated, we learned about calculated risks, which I'll have to take forth. And I think that this has been a very informative session for all of us, so thank you so much for this.
Thank you for making this session a fresh dialogue of voices in the media space. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Just one last quick announcement. This session is done, so we are completed with our plenary sessions. We moved to Plato Hall, so those who are interested, we will now take part at 5 o'clock, the academic sessions. I repeat, Plato Hall at 5 p.m. for the academic sessions will commence. And tomorrow in Chanakya building in Trikona Hall at 9:30, we will begin day 2 of NCMJ. Thank you. May I request the guests to just stay on stage? We'll just take one group photo.
Hello. Check, hello.